As part of Fan Interaction Wednesdays on our MSU Athletics Facebook homepage, we ask you, the fans, who you would like to hear from and ask questions. This week you chose Athletic Director Mark Hollis. Mark, thanks so much for taking the time to answer a few of our questions today. We're going to go ahead and get started. And our first question comes from Michael. Michael wants to know, we've done the game at Ford Field, Nike combat uniforms, and now a game on an aircraft carrier. What's the next big move to improve the Spartan brand and continue to spread it nationally?
Well, maybe Michael has the answer to that question, because it really does come from a lot of different people, and no one individual comes up with an idea, but a lot of people throw things in the hopper, and we sort through them. And many of the good ideas takes years and years for them to really come to fruition. So, what is it going to be? I don't know. We're looking at some things in Southeast Michigan and Detroit, looking at some things in Chicago, but we'll continue to do things the right way, and hopefully not make it too much of a circus while making Michigan State proud.
Our next question is from Daniel. Daniel wants to know, can you speak a bit more on D'Antonio's contract extension? Was this a concerted effort to show donors and recruits the athletic department's commitments to the resurgence of the football program?
That's a great question, and there's two parts to it. One was there were issues in the contract that we had to resolve for some issues, some related to IRS regulations and some related to the divisional play and the way some of the bonus structures were laid out. So what we did is took that opportunity to step back and look at everything, and a major part of it was creating some longevity issues for Mark and Becky and provide them with some security, not so much in financial compensation, but looking through some of the other things so that they just felt comfortable. And I think that's important for coaches to be able to step back and say, my family is taken care of. They're looking at it for the long term. And, I suppose donors and potential student athletes here at Michigan State would look at it as Mark is here for the long haul, as he stated.
Our next question is from Caleb. Caleb wants to know, what was the process in being a part of Nike's Pro Combat Series, and how would you describe MSU's relationship with Nike?
Well, I think we have a great relationship with Nike. I think they provide, not only product but innovation to Michigan State that's well beyond what they would normally do for an institution like Michigan State. The situation with the Pro Combat, we're very honored to be part of that. It's offered to a very select few, and it came as a result of William Golston making the recommendation to Coach D'Antonio, and Coach went directly to Nike without even going through the athletic director, and got us into the hopper. And then we sat down and talked about it. We looked at the styles that they brought forward, and we're very pleased with the first brush of them, and I think they're going to look great on Saturday. Very representative of, as you look back to the history of the Spartan name and the bronze and the medal and the both the defense and offensive part of that history, it's all kind of come to life in a uniform that will be used on one Saturday.
Our next fan question comes from Craig. Craig wants to know, how does it feel when you beat Michigan?
How do you think it feels? I think we're in a program where we're trying for sustained success. They're a rival, so it's a game that you obviously put a lot of emphasis in. I grew up in Michigan. I understand the rivalry. I think most of our student athletes and all of our coaches understand. It's a game that's on there, but to sustain success, it's not just about one game. It's about what you're doing with your whole season, what you're doing season after season that we're trying to capture. So, of course, you want to beat Michigan, but you also want to package that with a successful program.
All right, Stephanie has a hockey question next. She says, what made you decide to choose Tom Anastas for the hockey head coach when he had never been a coach before?
He had been a coach before. There had been some duration. I think what attracted me to Coach Anastas, he was an advisor in the search process. And as we were going through the characteristics of what we thought would be a successful coach at Michigan State, we were looking at both amateur hockey, those kids that we're recruiting to become Spartans, as well as those that aspire to be in the NHL. And Tom had an unbelievable level of connections at both ends. And his knowledge of the game, his ability to be a CEO, his ability to attract an amazing staff, kind of in my mind put that whole package together. So we advanced the thought late in the process with him, and fortunately he jumped on it, and I think the future is going to be very bright.
Great. Our next question is from Pat. Pat wants to know, what actions does MSU take with coaches, players, fans, clubs, and the community to avoid NCAA regulations?
Well, I think there's been examples of sanctions, and you can look at them in almost every category that you talk about. What we strive to do is hit the front end, is the education part of it and the communication. You always want to have a coach come forward with something where they become aware that perhaps a NCAA rule was violated, was broken, and in most cases, if you can get on the front end of it, you can really manage through it and keep it, keep it controlled. Once something does happen, this is a significant nature, then you need to take action, and we've done that with some of our boosters, we've done that with some of our coaches, and we've done it with some of our student athletes, and we continue to work with the Big Ten, work with the NCAA, and apply the appropriate sanctions, but really have the focus on the front end with education.
Perfect. Our last question comes from Ralph. Ralph says, Mark, you do a great job. When can we expect to see the new scoreboards in Spartan Stadium?
Well, Ralph, I think it's part of a comprehensive plan, and we're in the process right now of a study of all of Spartan Stadium that's going to incorporate things like the north end with the student-athlete locker rooms, the visitors' locker rooms, as well as some public areas, some entry areas, some security issues, as well as video boards and a sound system. And sooner is a better answer than later, and we're going through business models right now to determine how to pay for those, how not to have a major impact on any one individual, but really create a great atmosphere that's engaging for the fans, that's fun for the participants, and I think you'll see something very soon.
Sounds great. Well, thanks again, Mark, for taking the time to answer our questions. And thanks again to you, the Facebook fans, for submitting them. Be sure to check back next Wednesday to see who our featured guest will be.